Good evening. Tonight we bring you breaking news from the heart of the Middle East, where a long-simmering conflict has erupted into a full-scale crisis. For years, Iran and Israel have waged a shadow war, fighting through proxies, launching cyber attacks, and carrying out covert operations in the shadows. This hidden struggle has shaped the region, with both sides testing each other's resolve, but rarely coming into direct confrontation. Tonight, June 14, 2025, that war has exploded into open conflict. Sirens blare, newsrooms scramble, and the world holds its breath as the situation rapidly escalates. Explosions rock Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and deep inside Iran. The skies are lit by missile fire and the sound of distant blasts echoes through the night, shattering any illusion of safety. The world watches in shock and disbelief as direct military confrontation replaces years of tension, secret deals, and failed diplomacy. Ordinary people glued to their screens wonder what tomorrow will bring. The immediate trigger, Israel's massive Operation Rising Lion, a preemptive strike aimed at crippling Iran's nuclear program before it could reach a critical threshold. Israeli jets thunder into the night, targeting key sites with precision. Tehran saw it as a declaration of war, Ayatollah Khamenei, addressing a tense nation, vowed heavy blows in retaliation. And delivered, unleashing a barrage of missiles and swarms of drones at Israeli targets, igniting fears of a wider war. The United Nations scrambles to call for restraint, convening emergency sessions and urging both sides to step back. But on the ground, escalation rules, and the machinery of war grinds forward. The United States is quickly drawn in, offering support to Israel, while desperately trying to prevent the conflict from engulfing the entire region. American forces mobilize, and diplomatic channels burn with urgent messages. The next moves in Washington, Jerusalem, and Tehran will determine whether this crisis can be contained, or if it will spiral into a devastating regional war with consequences far beyond the Middle East. Operation Rising Lion marked a turning point in the region's history. Israel's boldest and most audacious military gamble to date. The world watched in shock as, under the cover of darkness, Israel launched a meticulously coordinated preemptive strike, aiming to neutralize what it saw as an existential threat. Over 200 advanced fighter jets, supported by state-of-the-art electronic warfare systems and elite covert teams, struck deep into Iranian territory. Their targets, Iran's most heavily fortified nuclear sites, Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordow. The attacks crippled key facilities, reportedly causing radiation leaks and setting back Iran's nuclear ambitions by years. Israel's message to the world was unmistakable. A nuclear-armed Iran is a red line that cannot be crossed. The Israeli leadership declared it would act decisively, regardless of international pressure or condemnation, to ensure its survival and regional stability. The operation went beyond infrastructure. Israeli forces also targeted Iran's military leadership, eliminating top IRGC commanders and key nuclear scientists. The goal was clear: to disrupt Iran's ability to retaliate and to send a chilling warning to those driving its nuclear program. Air defenses, missile sites, and strategic airbases across western Iran were systematically destroyed. This comprehensive assault severely degraded Iran's military infrastructure, leaving its defenses weakened and its response capabilities in disarray. This was no limited strike. It was a sweeping, multi-pronged offensive designed to reset the balance of power in the Middle East, sending shockwaves through the region and beyond. Yet, in its determination to prevent a nuclear Iran, Israel may have ignited the very conflict it had long sought to avoid, plunging the region into a new and uncertain era of instability. Iran's response was swift and overwhelming, catching the world's attention in a matter of hours. The decision to retaliate was made at the highest levels, and within moments military units across Iran sprang into action, mobilizing for a strike that would reverberate far beyond the region. The IRGC unleashed a massive barrage, hundreds of missiles and drones streaked across the night sky, all aimed at Israel. Their goal was clear: to overwhelm and saturate Israel's sophisticated air defense systems, making it nearly impossible to intercept every threat. The scale and coordination of the attack were unprecedented, signaling a new phase in the conflict. As air raid sirens wailed through Israeli cities, the night was lit up by the streaks of interceptor missiles. Israel's Iron Dome and Arrow systems sprang into action, firing relentlessly to protect the population. U.S. forces stationed in the region quickly joined the effort, working side by side with Israeli operators to shoot down as many incoming threats as possible. Despite these efforts, not every projectile was stopped. Some missiles slipped through, striking sensitive military sites and civilian neighborhoods. The explosions shattered windows, sent families scrambling for shelter, and left a trail of destruction that shook Israel's sense of security to its core. For Iran, this was more than just retaliation. It was a powerful demonstration of capability and resolve. After suffering devastating losses, Iranian leaders wanted to show the world, and their own people, that they could strike back hard, even while under immense pressure and threat. The world watched as the shadow war between Iran and Israel erupted into open conflict. The boundaries of covert operations had been crossed, and now both nations stood fully exposed, their actions broadcast live to a global audience. The escalation sent shockwaves through the Middle East and beyond. The message from Tehran was unmistakable. Any attack on Iran would be met with overwhelming force. This bold move raised the stakes for every nation in the region, leaving leaders and citizens alike bracing for what might come next. The U.S. is now at the center of the crisis, balancing support for Israel with the urgent need to prevent a wider war. President Trump initially urged restraint, but once the strikes began, American military aid flowed in to help defend Israel. U.S. forces in the region are on high alert, with warnings to Iran. Any attack on American assets will bring severe consequences. The fragile diplomatic track with Iran has collapsed, replaced by military brinkmanship and high-stakes threats. Washington's challenge: reassure Israel, deter Iran, and keep the region from tipping into uncontrollable conflict. In crisis, leaders' words shape the battlefield. Netanyahu, in a national address called Operation Rising Lion, a last resort to stop Iran's nuclear bomb, vowing to continue until the threat is gone. He appealed to Iranians, blaming their regime, not the people. Khamenei responded with defiance, promising more retaliation and blaming Israel for starting the war. President Trump's statements swing between offers of negotiation and warnings of overwhelming force if U.S. interests are threatened. The UN calls for restraint, but the world is bracing for escalation, with little room left for compromise. Each leader's stance hardens the lines, making de-escalation ever more difficult. The nuclear threat now overshadows every move. Israel's strike may push Iran to seek a bomb for security, risking a regional nuclear arms race. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and others could follow, shattering hopes for non-proliferation and creating a volatile, nuclear-armed Middle East. The cycle of attack and retaliation is set. Each side's next move could ignite a wider war. The world watches, hoping for urgent diplomacy to pull both nations back from the brink. The clock is ticking. Failure means a future defined by endless conflict and the shadow of nuclear war.